Hey everyone, this is Snark with Snark's Domain, and we are going to test out Arctic MX-4. Not that it hasn't been tested out lots, but I went back and looked at the stream a little bit yesterday. I was trying to see what the audio sounded like, and I noticed a comment I forgot to reply to, asking for, I believe it was Taylor Sharp, was like, hey, we should test MX-4 on this to get a baseline. Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't done that for this chart, so it's a bit hard to tell how stuff performs when we got nothing to base it on, other than stuff that, yeah, I don't know, like a more common paste, I guess, which lots of people have used MX-4, so. Okay, let's get this cooler off. Guess I don't need that till I do the GPU. Moses says, managed my first thermal putty job on my overheating 2070 Super 2 weeks ago with Upsar and UX. Wanted to say thank you for all the advice. Please go. Thanks, man. Yeah, well, I'm glad that you got a putty job done. First putty job's always nerve-wracking because you're like, this is crazy. Everyone's using pads. I've got like a different camera coming. It's not a crazy expensive camera. I'm just getting in. Currently I've got two Razer Keo Pros. I bought them both used locally for like pretty cheap, and at the time I was like, okay, that's an investment, you know, that'll be good. And then I was like, well, the quality's not perfect. But now I've got a Razer Keo Pro Ultra, which is a 4K camera. I guess it's got better color accuracy. And then I've got a better arm to attach it to, so hopefully it'll... Anyways, that's enough talk about cameras. Let's talk about this stuff. This is Helios from Thermalite. And yeah, that's a matching pattern there. You can see there's just a really thin layer. And this one also has those little, I would say like divots in it. But there's also, I don't know, there's a light film, but it definitely got thin. But its performance kind of closely matched the Laird, but unlike the Laird, the Helios didn't really need that extra heat to melt, which I tested. I first ran it for 6 hours, just like the normal temperature. I think it was getting up to 67 degrees Celsius actual temp, and then I heated it up to between around that 95 Celsius for about 15-20 minutes, and then let it cool back down again, full airflow, and it didn't see really any improvement from that extra heat. So I would say this one breaks in or like flows at a reasonable temperature. We didn't see that like 6 or 7 degree improvement like we did with the Laird. The Laird was hot, right? It took extra heat to get down to the same 66, 67 actual temperature. I still need to process the data for this Helios stuff. I'm gonna do that probably sometime this afternoon when I get a chance. But just from what I was looking at, I think it's closely matched. It might be just ahead of the Laird, hard to say. We'll wait and see, I guess, for that. Oh yeah, you're gonna try liquid metal. Nice. That's a pretty good price. Yeah, I watched your one video where you were applying the MG Chemicals 422C. Good stuff, man. It's fun working with that, hey? With it glowing under UV light. I think that's cool. I don't know. I'm sure lots of people use like TG Shield because that's what Gerbauer uses, and that's a good product too, right? But man, glow in the dark? Not glow in the dark. Glow under UV, but like see-through otherwise? I think if you ever had to take something to a repair clinic, and as long as you told them it had conformal coating on it so that they could see it, but it'd probably be easier for them to visually diagnose stuff, look for any damage or anything, if it was clear. Whereas that TG Shield being red, well, that's nice to be able to see without a UV light. So I guess both work good. Just whatever you prefer, really. Yeah, it smells good, glows good. It's true. When I was younger, I used to work at a gas station, pumping gas. It was one of my earlier jobs that I had, and when I was still in high school. And yeah, it's weird, but you get to like enjoy the smell of chemicals for some reason. And at that time, just working there and being around gasoline all the time, for some reason, you start to like the smell. Now don't worry, I don't have a gas sniffing problem now, nor did I then. But I guess that's a thing too. People, yeah, sniff vapors. That's not a good thing. It's not good for you, I'm sure. Okay, I'm trying this with the overhead light now. Maybe that's too bright. Maybe I should do that, eh? That's a little bit easier to see. Trying to figure out if I need to like buy fancy overhead lights to have off to the side or something. I've got one larger ring light on the way. I'm gonna test out in different positions and we'll see if I can improve my lighting. But yeah. Code string, sniffing Steam Deck fumes. That sounds like a good thing. Gizmosis says, goodbye, liquid metal factory for it. The cost benefits are way better than pads. It was no brainer. Oh, did you go with putty as well? Yeah. Putty, right? I mean, when you buy pads for some of these cards, when they've got, well, oftentimes 4 or 5 different thicknesses, ranging from that like 0.5 millimeter all the way up to 3 millimeter for like the back plate. If you buy a package of each one of those, like that adds up. If you're doing lots of cards, you can get the whole like bulk benefit, and you know, you'll utilize everything that you bought eventually. But if you're just doing one card, I think putty is just so much cheaper. And performance wise, I mean, I'm still going putty for sure. The best of both worlds. All right, I kind of stalled out here. Now I just gotta find. Where's that paste hiding? Oh, you know what? It was hiding back there. I'll set that down. Oh, what I've got to find. Oh, there it is. It's like a dark blue. This is the ideal paste spreader. It's the only one I've got. Yeah, that's funny. And it's from Arctic. That's not going to focus, but it might. Okay, it's an Arctic spreader, and it's just got really nice, crisp, smooth edge on this one side. The other side is sort of meh, but this side, you can just, it just finger glides right over it. So It's the chosen one. And we're just gonna get a little Q-tip clean going on here. Because we do want to clean this spreader before we use it. We don't want to have finger oils on it. Alright, that looks good. We're going to let that dry for a moment. Put that there. Alright. Makeup spreaders. Makeup spreaders. Are those like high density oval, almost like Q-tips, but they're sort of like a cloth or something? I wonder if I'm thinking of the right thing or not. You know, I think I'm going to put a little bit more on. Just so I can work with it a bit easier. So I don't think I had the audio or the music working yesterday. Do you guys hear music right now? I assume that you do. I could see it in OBS. But something was a little bit wonky with my parts of my audio setup yesterday. It's because I unplugged my computer and all the cables. I was working on my main PC a little bit. And then I hooked it all up in like a different order. So I had to like reconnect cameras and took a little bit to get back to what it was supposed to be. I'm using like more paste than I normally would here. But I want it to be like a nice smooth layer and thin layer. Alright, we're going to put a little dab in the middle, as always. Okay. And the cooler's nice and clean, shiny. A couple little scratches, but those are just going to get worse over time. And we're going to put Noctua facing that way. Hopefully that's a good position for the light. Oh, didn't quite get that thread started. This is always the hardest part because I have to stand up over it, and then I'm like looking past the camera. It's manageable. I guess I have to keep that in mind. I'm thinking of installing like a crossbar for camera and lights to mount to using like super clamp type stuff, but I'll have to make sure it's back far enough that I'm not trying to stare through it. And I had just thought about that now, so I think I've got a good plan though. Okay, that's that part. And we'll get the fan back on. They are little spatulas. Okay. I'll have to have a look at those and see. if I can get those, I'm sure I can get those local. Or do you just buy them on Amazon, probably? Yeah, I guess you wouldn't buy it at a necessarily a store that sells you like one or two. Or maybe they are cheap at a store. The same thing as cheap Chinese TIM spreaders, but for pennies. Okay. I will definitely look into those. Alright, let's get the card going here. I'm just gonna pick this thing up and set it off to the side. This will just be a moment here. Ooh, what are we trailing? We have a temperature sensor. The CPU one. Okay. Ooh. Sorry, that might have made a bad microphone sound for you guys, I'm not sure. Then again, maybe the filters took care of it. It was loud for me. I also need to build a shelf to hold and organize thermal pastes and putties and stuff, which I'll eventually make much better than my current setup. Yeah, big screwdriver. That won't work. Let's put this guy over here. So I also bought an iFixit screwdriver set that was like the step down from this one. It was like in the $30 range or $25 range. And it just didn't have... I was using that up when I was at my parents' place. It worked. The bits were fine. But the back, like swivel, it was just like a plastic piece. And I think even parts of this were plastic, but the core tool was still metal. It was still quality enough. But having used that now, I think I'd much prefer this one, which has a really nice swivel to it. And Philip, I think you've got the same metal kit as well. Just like a nice screwdriver. Or at least I like it. Okay, so like all PCMs, this is going to take a bit of extra force. I'm just going to get the back of it off. That putty, it sticks a little bit. Oh, you know what? That one wasn't too bad that time. Yeah, and it's got... let's see if I've got... I think I've got the close-up cam. Should have adjusted that down before. Yeah, that's got a good melt and spread to it. And the core as well. That's harder to see. It's a good thin layer. There's barely anything on the CPU, just like a dusting, but then you can see you've got basically full coverage there. So yeah, that's what Helios melts like. And if you guys remember the square that I put on here, it was undercut maybe 3/16, not quite a 1/4 inch, all around the border. So it was smaller than the die, but that still melted out and had this much excess. So you can definitely be, you know, you can undercut it quite a bit, and you're not gonna, it's still gonna be enough. So that was something I wasn't 100% sure, but actually the border wasn't on all 4 sides, just 2 of them. The piece ended up being full length the one way, so. Just clean this guy up. I did the same thing with the GPU. I tested it for 6 hours, and then I heated it up to 92 Celsius for about 20 minutes. And then changed the fan speed back. So I've got 2 different methods for the CPU. I block airflow with a piece of cardboard. For the GPU, I just set the fan curve to run at 50% until it gets to a temperature of 95, and then it goes right up on like a fairly steep angle from there up to 100. And what that lets me do is just hold it pretty much steady at a temperature. As it gets hotter than or like close to 95, then it starts ramping up. Guess we'll go back to, it's a pretty scratch day. That's what happens when you clean the same card this many times. So with just a normal paste like this, I'm not planning on doing a full 12 hours of testing. I'll do 6 hours, and then maybe I'll heat it up just to see what happens. If it becomes more liquidy and squishes out even more. But if I don't see, and then I'll give it full access to air. If I don't see an improvement with the first one I do, which will be the GPU, I'm probably not going to do that with the CPU. Just because it's going to waste a lot of time. And I might be able to get another stream in tonight with something else. Maybe another paste. Maybe MX-4. Got a lot of paste to work through, that's for sure. Philip Carroll says, I use a couple iFixit kits. I have a funky cooling monster kit I got for the lulz. Then a suite of wares. Our wares? That seems like a good, I don't know if have I heard of that? I don't think I've heard of that before. Is that a good brand? Zerpocalypse, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you, good sir. Good afternoon to everyone. Alright, we are going to put some MX-4 on the core. Make sure it's nice and dry, which it is. Maybe I'll do close up. Might as well. Ooh, that's a dirty card, eh? A lot of that that you see there, this like white stuff in here, that's what it looks like if you try clean a card that you've got that MG chemicals on. The solvent that's, well, the, what am I trying to say, the isopropyl alcohol eventually starts to eat away at it. And if you scrub that, you can get it like right down clean to the bare PCB again if you want to. Which is not my goal. I'm just cleaning the card as is. When I eventually go and redo testing on this with anything conductive that's like a paste or a liquid or something, I'll be sure to reapply the coat, clean up the card really good before I do, and then go from there. Make sure it's all glowing and phosphorescent. Yeah. Pretty happy with that. Okay. Let's go for reassembly. I just gotta clean that up a little bit. There we go. Oh, you know what we didn't do yet? Which is really important. We didn't reshape the TGPP10. So we're gonna do that now. Not sure if when or if I'll replace this TGPP10. I don't think I can, as long as I'm using this as a test card, because we have to keep things consistent. So that's the plan. We're just gonna keep using it until we change test cards, and then I'll probably pick a different putty if and when I decide to change a test card. That would be for like test bench version 3. We're a long ways away from that happening, so. Usually I use gloved fingers for this part, but I'm just going to spruce it up a little bit. Doesn't take much to get this thing to make good contact again during reassembly. Alright, that is that. Let's put this guy back together. Ooh, I'll have to buy some more Q-tips too. I think it's a Costco day. I'm gonna buy some, so I looked at prices. And the price of isopropyl alcohol, the 99%, I can get a 4-pack for like dirt cheap. What? Where is a big German brand? Yeah, I feel like I've heard it before. I just didn't know who it was. Germany makes good stuff. I mean, I've got different like Klein tool stuff. This one too is also Klein. At least I'm 90% sure Klein is German brand. I'm starting to notice that the heads of these 4 screws on the back plate, not the spring-loaded ones, but these other tinier ones, a couple times I've like, not fully stripped the heads, but I can tell I'm like wearing down the edges of it, so it just like, it's close to slipping. I might have to replace those screws. Luckily I've got a screw kit, so I'm pretty sure that's not going to be an issue for me to do. Alright, that is the card back together. And as always, we're going to give it a little... let's see. There we go. Clean this, just in case any oil's going on it. Got to keep this clean because I keep plugging the same card into the same socket over and over and over. So it gets, yeah, I don't want to put any dirt or stuff in there. A couple times I've had connectivity issues where the PC wouldn't boot, and all I had to do was clean that connector, and everything was fine. Alright, that's the card back together, folks. I'm going to get this up and testing, and I will, yeah, I'll hopefully be on later tonight again in maybe 7 or 8 hours, maybe 9:30. And I don't think I have to work until Sunday at the earliest now. The job I'm supposed to go out on is delayed, so unless they send me somewhere else. So I'll actually be able to get a few tests in here. Maybe I'll even make a regular video, because I've noticed I haven't made a normal video in a while, and there's like a bunch of videos I really need to make, so I should start working on those, or like continue working on them. I've got them started, I just don't have them done. But hey, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hopefully you guys found this, I don't know, a nice little break to your day. I know I did. And I will catch you guys later. Go Team Putty.